Hey everyone. So I'm at Fearmens Slaughterhouse in Burlington, Ontario, and I'm just actually staring at a sign of one of the pictures, and yeah, it's actually hard to look at. One of the posters that we show here in Burlington, Ontario, to cars driving by, just to show the plight of, that specific being that was on a slaughterhouse truck, and they actually were put into a gas chamber here and ultimately died for a carcinogenic. I don't know if a lot of people know that bacon has been attributed to colorectal cancer, and processed meat has been directly related to cancers, but that's besides the point. I mean, it's 2020 and we don't need to be eating animals. We don't need to be putting them into these types of conditions like gas chambers. So what happens here, and I've been witness to this, and a lot of people can say, well, this is what happens, but I can actually attest to seeing that. So there's a plant in Breslau that kills a number of pigs a day. And as an inspector, when we did training, that's the place that I went to first witness little pigs being prodded, pushed down a gateway, and then ultimately put into this. It's hard to explain, but it's a gas chamber that kind of rotated. These pigs were pushed into this gas chamber. They didn't want to go willingly, and it closed off, and when they came out, they were dead weight, fully unconscious, but you could hear them scream prior to that, and like that sound will never leave me. So when I hear, if you were to come to Fearmens Slaughterhouse here, you hear them screaming, that's oftentimes that they're being pushed into the alleyways of which they'll be going into the gas chamber. I'm not sure if you can hear them going into the gas chamber, but I can tell you this much: they're screaming while they're inside. They burn essentially from the lungs, the asshole, the nose, the mouth, the eyes. So it's so painful. If you can imagine that, if you were to be in something like that, or what would render you unconscious, it's so painful that they are rendered unconscious. And I actually witnessed as one of them was coming to, actually, while it was. So what happens is they fall outside of this gas chamber, and they're like laying on the ground, and someone will put a chain on their ankle, and then so what I saw, and sorry, it's hard for me to kind of explain it, but what I saw is like the baby came back to life as he was hung up, and the guy still continued to cut off his head, and like right all the way around, like there was no stopping. It just, like, he cut all the way around his head, and you can see the body shaking and quivering, and I can't even imagine, and I was just in shock. But the condition that I grew up in, and what I was indoctrinated to think, is that this needed to happen. This is sort of like what we need to get by, and somebody's got to do it. So, we don't have any other choice. Very young, dumb, and naive, and I think the majority of people are very blind, because there's clever marketing terms, but they're very blind as to what's actually going on. I guarantee you, if people saw exactly what I saw as an inspector, I would say 99% of people would be vegan like me, and they'd be out fighting against this every single weekend, pretty much every single day. That's all I do personally. So I'm David Pereira, David Magina online, and I'm the 40-year-old vegan. And so I have a little YouTube channel. I'm on Instagram, TikTok, so all the platforms. And essentially I'm out here just trying to end this grave injustice. This is just one plant, and they kill 10,000 babies. Dozens of trucks come here. 10,000 babies. And if you can imagine that these babies were put into existence just to feed us, if you can imagine where they came from and how they got here. So they're thrown onto these hard metal containers. One day they're just picked up. This might be the first time they see sunshine in their life, if the sun's out. Then after that, they're transported in whatever weather conditions there are. We see them panting. We see them vomit. We see foam at the mouth. We see them defecating all over each other. It's horrifying. It's absolutely horrifying. And this is just, one plant out of, hundreds, if not more, thousands. And this happens every single day. So these babies that come from these farms are coming from these mothers that are in gestation chambers. Now, if you don't know what a gestation chamber is, if you can imagine metal bars wrapped right around your body and not being able to move. Now, imagine, I don't know about you, but I'm a little bit claustrophobic. Now, imagine if you're in that type of situation. Imagine if you had to be inside of that situation. Like, for example, there's a lockdown and people are going absolutely mad. It seems like some people are going mad, and you can almost empathize with that. But can you imagine being stuck in one spot your whole life for 10 minutes, for an hour, for 24 hours, for a day, for a week, for a month? And then let's talk about potentially 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, maybe even. Can you imagine being stuck in one spot? And not only that, is you have babies having complete access to your tits in order to get food, and you can't move, and maybe one bites too hard, or maybe you're uncomfortable, so you have to move, but you crush one because you have nowhere else to go. So there's so many of these little babies that get crushed because it is a bit of a painful process sometimes when these sows are feeding. Now, can you imagine after that, once these sows are used up, oftentimes they will just get thrown into a dumpster, like a piece of trash, like a piece of garbage, all lined up outside of our cities. If you were to smell that, if you were to go around that, the smell is it's unbelievable. I drove up and I saw one. I have video footage of it, actually. And there was a few big, it's hard to even talk about, mothers that were just thrown in a garbage. And that they had been there for a very long time. And these companies like Labrosse come and pick up these bodies, and they essentially bring them into a rendering plant, and then they treat it for dog food or cat food or whatever. It's fucking disgusting. And that's how we treat mothers. It's not like they were given a great existence. We're essentially using women, females, reproductive system, and all of these beings. And this is just pigs. I'm just talking about pigs. I haven't even talked about dairy cows. I haven't even talked about chickens. These are things that we don't have the opportunity to witness all that often, and it's done purposely, because if you saw it, then you would then you would be on side. Anyways, I have a truck that's coming up here with these babies, and I'm going to go bear witness. So hopefully I made you think. If you have any questions, reach out to me. Do some research on your own if you don't believe what I'm saying. Babies are put into gas chambers. Also onto trucks that are going through these drastic temperatures, moving from one temperature to another, and these farms that are absolutely breeding grounds for disease, pathogens, and also the poor plight of the mothers and such. So be kind, be vegan. Hopefully I'll be on another one.